Hello everyone, my name is Thao Lan, volunteer here at LTC, Lowell Telemedia Center, and we're here with Peter Veth and Chummeng to talk about their up-and-coming show, Reclaiming Reamker. We're laughing because I was trying to pronounce the word because I'm Cambodian and I can't roll my R's, so Reclaiming Reamker. So meet the creators here. Yeah. We're going to have them introduce themselves and tell us a little about themselves. So, Peter?
Hi, my name is Peter Chidipsu. I've been dancing for over 20 years and I am the choreographer for the production.
Well, Chidipsu, my name is Chummeng and I studied under Peter for over 10 years and it's exciting to be collaborating with your own teacher.
Yeah.
And this endeavor and journey and my background in the arts has helped me move the project forward, but also spending a lot of time learning from Peter creative mind.
And this is actually really exciting because this is our chance to bring a little bit of our culture to LTC and to the Lowell community. So do you want to explain what the Chidipsu is?
Yeah, Chidipsu is how we greet each other. There's actually a bit more
traditional, the traditional side of it.
It's the traditional way to say hi, how are you?
Yeah. But it's common. But there's another phrase, susday. It's also common among friends, whereas Chidipsu is very proper. So like when I'm speaking to you, it's like Chidipsu, but
because I'm older.
Yeah. But when I see like Mo Peter and stuff, I say susday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like the high of our language or the hello, but then Chidipsu is like welcome or
which is very exciting. So we touched base a little bit about how you two met. Do you want to talk a little bit more about this student-teacher relationship?
Yeah. So Chummeng I have met many years ago. I think maybe maybe 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And he was really adamant about learning the Veth, which is a giant role in Khmer classical dance repertoire. I play that role. That's my main character that I always embodied, and he somehow fell in love with that role. And I remember as a teenager, he kept begging me to teach him, and I kept saying nope, not until you learn the fundamental basic of Chapmacha, which is Chapmacha is the mother posture of Cambodian classical dance. It's like you have to learn this, and not a lot of male dancers here like to take the time to learn that because it embodies a lot of the female character, so they kind of stay away from that. But once you learn the basic posture and gesture, you'll be able to move into the giant role. And then he looked at me. He's like, I promise you, I'm gonna learn that, and he did that.
Yay! And then, which dance group? How did you learn that part of it?
I was the former artistic director of the Echo Dance Troupe, and he is still involved in the dance troupe, and that's how we met.
Well, prior to that, it was at the Butler. Peter just mysteriously showed up during the Khmer New Year at the Butler.
I went to the Butler.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, we all went to the Butler.
Yeah. So every year they do Khmer performances, Khmer New Year performances, and it's just amazing, and I participate in it. And then one day, this amazing teacher, Peter Veth, who just wrapped up his show at California, America Best Dance Crew, right?
Oh yeah.
TV show,
Yeah, so everyone was like, Peter. Everyone fell in love with Peter during that time. He was like the icon of Lowell.
Yeah, so America's next best dance crew to doing this.
Yeah.
So what was the inspiration behind choreographing this?
The inspiration behind this, it all stems from Chummeng taking the trip to Cambodia to learn a gem, a piece of jewel that is almost forgotten. And it's been about almost 70 years where they haven't really revived this dance.
Yeah.
And he went to Cambodia to learn from Master Niku Penyom, who I also studied here in America. She happened to go back to Cambodia, and he took the opportunity to learn from her. She somehow just passed that down, and I remember him coming back to the US. He was like, you won't believe what I've learned. I'm like, what? And then he told me Niku Yum passed down Chu Chai Yet. And the moment he said that, I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Wow.
So it all kind of just stemmed from there.
So how long ago was that?
That was 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a while back. It was under the Greater Law Foundation, the Tom Leggett Fellowship, that has taken me to Cambodia to document a handful of master, including Lukye Antie, Lukye Cho.
What?
So,
What? If they took you back to Sok Khmer to document, Sok Khmer is Cambodia. They took you back to Sok Khmer to document.
Yeah, I was on the fellowship for 1 month, and 5 years later, a handful of them passed away, those who my document. And a part of that document were Chichai, and a number of other repertoire that has not been restaged for the public. We're literally scraping the surface of preservation.
Which is pretty amazing because now we have you two to help pass the torch on to the next generation.
And it's a race against time because every year there is going to be one master less. Every year there's going to be one master less. And so the race against preservation is as important to the process of innovation. And so when they both dance simultaneously, I approach Peter, look, I have this piece. How are we going to revive it? But also, what can we do to make it relevant?
And that took a couple years later down the road too. We didn't just start off right away. It's about 7 years, right?
Oh yeah, since 2015.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to Cambodia, you learned the dance, you came and you talked to Peter, and you learned the dance?
Yeah, so he taught me, excuse me, my student ended up teaching the student.
Always is, though, right?
So, which is, so he ended up teaching me the dance. And just last year, I just remember finishing off a big project with someone else. I did a collaboration with another fellow Cambodian artist. And I just had this moment in my kitchen. I just looked at him and was like, we have one more project to do together. And I don't know what it is. And it's by the universe, God, whatever it is that's watching over us, had handed this to us. I'm like, okay, this is your time. And we didn't expect anything big from it. Our first production landed at the Kennedy Center at Victoria Park. And that was before the show. This was supposed to be our big show. But apparently our big show was at the Victoria Park in DC. And that was sold out. And we had to turn people away. So that was pretty cool. Because this project has somehow spread like rapid fire across. It kind of went internationally. And I think that's really cool to see the article about us in like the Cambodia Daily and all these things.
The Low Sun. And, there has to be 2 or 3 people on this planet Earth that knows and remember. Although I did, end up giving it to Peter, I personally don't remember a lot because at that time I was quite busy with school, quite busy with other things. And also, I come to realization that these knowledge has been gatekept from generation to generation, that even documents are being gatekept. And that's not fair to the national treasure or the national heritage treasure of the country, right? And the only way of returning that favor back is to return it to someone who can preserve or can revive the pieces back to life. The only person would be Peter. I mean, I personally did my duty, my job, in the sense that I have received the documentations of it and I have knowledge of learning it, but do I remember 100%? And even in the process of revival, we don't revive 100% of the piece.
There's still some missing.
Oh yeah.
I've learned from him that there are still some missing pieces.
We revive this at least in the recent learning, at least 50% of it.
Wow.
And then the other 50% is all imaginative collaboration with master teacher in France, master teacher in Cambodia, to reimagine and to reclaim that narrative again. But the other 50% is still out there, still unknown. Yeah.
Do you ever think about bringing your masterpiece back to Sok Khmer or to other parts of where there are high Cambodian populations?
Yeah, we had talked about one of it was in Cambodia. DC we didn't expect to land that. I think after this, our main step is to go to California. There has been some talk and some work already, but they want us to finish this and then have a meeting with them, and then we're going to try to bring it out into California. So that's pretty exciting. But also, we also try maybe someday bring it to Cambodia, because Cambodia, they can do it, but I think it'd be nice to have Cambodian Americans
to do it,
to present it this time, you know.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? We're in the process of reaching out to organizations in Cambodia to see who we can actually put in this proposal to, who could actually take the risk, because this is a very risky project. The one organization that took on this risk was Cambodian American Literary Association for the Arts. They took on this risk, and we transparently mentioned to them that, you know, arts in this community hasn't been supported.
It's hurting. Yes,
it's hurting.
It's dying.
Yeah, and also, how do we grassroots artists, right, break that institutional norms or institutional structure that has been in place to actually benefit artists within their circle, and not diverse artists who actually explore to expand the creative imagination. A part of why we called it Reclaiming is because we want to reclaim this. We want to create a space that inspire the next generation and give them a pathway, a infrastructure that makes sense for them.
Right.
And so CLA took that risk of actually investing in the project, and only if you begin investing in the younger generation like us, then will you see inspiration forward, and then you can imagine your future, the future they want to live in. And that's as simple as that.
And that's going to be a beautiful circle, because they invested in you, and you guys can grow and invest in the next generation.
Right. Yes. It is as simple as that. It's just taking our story and taking it back and reclaiming it, breaking that institutional barrier, demonstrating that sense of creativity, and then building that trust in them.
Yeah.
And then building the future together. It's as simple as that.
That's very beautiful.
Thank you.
Let's bring it back to the name of your production, the name that I cannot pronounce. Reclaiming Reamker, right? What is the meaning behind that?
So Reamker, the word Ream is the main character, Breh Ream, which Peter can delve a little bit into him. And then Gay, meaning treasure, Gay Moradok. It's the treasure of Bahrain. What does treasure mean in that sense? Treasure meaning everything related to emotion, physical emotion, his relationship with Seda, his wealth, his being, his power, is all his treasure. And when he carries that with him, it's a burden, right? A burden that one person carried. That's why it's called the treasure of Bahrain Ream Gay. And Peter can delve deeper into the story as he wrote the script, he choreographed the narrative.
Yeah, Reclaiming Reamker, it became, so when we put the classical piece together, which is Chu Cha Ye, I had this thought that clicked in my head. I realized that Cambodian culture in general is dying here in the US. Excuse me. And I see it because the new generation are faster than how it is now, like how it is before. With social media, everything is evolving, everything is moving faster and quicker. And then from traveling to different dance troupe, I realized that the dance is not how it was before, like back in early 2000 or like 90s, where it was a lot. You can walk into a dance studio of Cambodian Americans, you see like 100 students. Now it's like 20. And my thought process is like, okay, we're reviving the old, but I know that not the outside world that doesn't understand Cambodian classical dance stuff, they're not gonna really care for it. So my thought process was, let's create a contemporary piece. And then the contemporary piece will be the story of Reamker that will lead into the dance itself of Chu Cha Ye. So this is why the reclaiming come in, so that way people won't expect too much of the classical piece, but people will understand the contemporary piece more, because the narration will also be in English.
Which is really neat.
Yeah.
Right, because not a lot of people, even our Cambodian folks here that grew up here in America, even in Cambodia, they'll say like I never really understood the story. We had to invite people to come and do like a sneak peek and a preview. They're like, oh my gosh, I did not know that happened. So they say that it's really cool to hear it in English. So Reclaiming Reamker, we're diving deeper into Ravana, which is Krong Riep, more of the giant story, because Reamker is always talked about the prince, which is Prehriam. Prehriam was a reincarnation of God Vishnu, because Ravana, the Krong Riep, who is an ogre, is causing havoc on earth. So the God Vishnu was like, I gotta go in there and somehow figure this out and make peace into the world. So he reincarnated himself to become a human. So Vishnu, he has blue skin. So when he reincarnated, he was birthed with that same skin, the blue tone skin. This time, since we're a lover of Riep, the Krong Riep, the bad guy, which is Chui Chai Yet, we want to create a piece that reflect on Krong Riep's point of view, because I always say that if there's an evil, there has to be a reason why he became this bad guy. And I think this is the first time ever that anyone ever dived in a little deeper on his story, because Chui Chai Yet is based on the demon, the bad guy. And Chui Chai talks about like him becoming a little bit more flamboyant, because during the dance pieces, the Cambodian classical repertoire, he's always upright, he's ready to kill someone, he's ready to beat someone down. But Chui Chai Yet shows a little softer part of him that hasn't been presented to the world, and this is what we're doing.
Traditionally, the Ramayana or Reamker portray Prehriam as a hero. So when we first pitched this idea to the master teacher in France, we're like, oh Jesus, we don't know if she's gonna accept the idea, we don't know what her perspective is gonna be like, because we're also challenged by tradition as well.
Yes.
And so when we pitched it to her, we're like, okay, we're finger crossed. But the response from her were shocking. She was like, wow, no one have ever talked about his narrative, his relationship with Seta. What happened to Seta in his kingdom? What happened, Peter?
With Seta, I won't say too much because you have to buy the tickets. But there is just to put this out there. It has been told that from Dr. Wang Sa, who wrote the last book on the yellow book that's only like maybe 30 copies in the world right now, and he happened to have one of them. And there's a tape recording of him saying that Krong Riep wasn't always bad. He treated Ning Seta like every other princess would be treated in their own palace. He given her everything, because this has been talked about. There's rumors saying that like, oh, he raped her, he tried to do all these things, but that's not true. He's actually a scholar himself, so he has a lot of respect.
Can we circle it back to so that for viewers who are not familiar with the culture and stories and fables and myths, what is this story based on?
This story is based on the Ramayana epic story from India. And so it is good versus evil, or as often portrayed.
So it's a practice from Buddhism,
Theravada, and animism all combined into one. And that is what create modern day Southeast Asia, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos. Not including Vietnam, because Vietnam was influenced by East Asia, but also spread into Indonesia.
We did a lot of research.
I am super excited to see it, but I'm just thinking about viewers who have like no idea about the stories from our culture, our areas, because we grew up hearing things like that and watching shows based on that.
It is comparable to the Western Odyssey.
There you go.
That's it.
Yeah. Only you guys have fancier costumes. So you're using the traditional costumes?
No. I stripped away contemporary because it requires lots of body movements, because the traditional classical would constrict you from moving, from doing contemporary form. And I also so when I produce projects, I don't ever want the audience to walk away and just say, oh, that show was beautiful. Oh, that was pretty and that was great. I want people to feel what we're naturally feeling on stage. I want the audience to go out and cry with us. And that's the most important thing. And also, it's not all about on stage. Yes, the emotion is really important, but the lightings and the costumes all have to be cohesive. So that way you can leave feeling like you've learned something. And this is all about like, Reamker also reflect on like social construct. And it's all about like the way we talk to each other and how we deal with our own inner demons and emotions. So it dives in deeper into like the spiritual aspect. So it's not just some dance that's on stage. We're really trying to like target, how do you feel about this,
A part of reclaiming, right? Reclaiming something is to reclaim back our imagination, our social, emotional feelings and physical feelings of the art, the process that we're making, right? The process of making Reamker evolves those things, those simple things that Peter just mentioned. Spirituality is one of them. Reflecting on our complex history way before Khmer Rouge.
I am so excited to go see the show on Thursday. I am so excited. I can't even wait.
But also reclaiming the process of challenging tradition.
Yeah, and that's a big one, especially in our culture where everyone is like so straightforward, unbending.
Yeah. You don't understand what we have to tread through.
Oh, I can only imagine with the masters. Okay, so impact-wise, right, with the community, putting this out there for everyone to see, what type of impact are you looking to leave?
I think much like I mentioned before, it is simply to allow the younger generation to feel a sense of strength, courage,
cultural pride too, I bet.
Cultural pride, and understanding that heritage, Cambodian heritage, is living. It is constantly in motion, and that consistent motion lives within the memory of the older generation. How can they have the strength and courage to approach bigger institute, to take their culture and their knowledge, understanding of the arts, understanding of their social construct and peripheral, political peripheral environment, right? And create the future they want to live in. Art is to enrich their lives, and if we don't have art in our lives, the only thing that we're reflecting to is what? Our history, the Khmer Rouge. We are more than beyond that.
We're way past. In the past project that we have been together, it's about the genocide, and we're going to keep that with the other productions that we involved with. But now we kind of want to dive in how Cambodia was before that, and now how Cambodia is now. We want to celebrate all the good things, and also like just inspiring the newer generation that tradition doesn't always have to be boring. Because sometimes when we look at these things, when they look at these things, they're like, okay, well, I don't want to go to the temples anymore, or I don't want to go see this dance because it's boring. But it's actually not. We want to like inspire them to look out into the horizon that it can become something. And this is also the challenge that we have to deal with the tradition. Like, it's hard to get the older generation to understand us. But sometimes when it's that hard, if you can't get through them, you just gotta show it to them. And that's what we're doing. We're like, okay, whether you like it or not, we're gonna move forward.
And we're using pop culture to assist with that. I mean, he's constantly on me for Instagrams and Facebooks and social media. And we're using pop culture to spread awareness because it's in our hands, right? It is like the most powerful communication device we have, our telephone.
I think our generation right now, we're the in-between. For the old and the new. We're right now, are we us right now, the in-between thing.
Definitely you're going to bring healing, a lot of healing to the older generation to this, and then also bringing knowledge and connectivity to the second generation. So it's really amazing what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
Especially the healing part for the generation above us, because I couldn't even imagine living through the genocide and having to start new in an entirely different country.
And that's fine, because we want to recognize that struggle.
Yeah.
But also now, we want to celebrate the beauty and the life that is born in the past, but also that they carry with them to America. And we want to celebrate that, but how do we celebrate that to help create the future for the younger generation? And that's enriching, that is cultural enrichment.
The past trauma, it's why they have the gatekeeping mentality.
Yes.
And you don't want to dismiss that. but also trying to get them to like, okay, let's open up a little bit, but also meet them halfway. That's the only way this is the only way that the process has kind of like come to birth. Because you can't just dismiss the generation point of view. We also have to listen and understand. But there are times where we just stop doing it.
I know.
We preserve, we can't say we preserve 100%, but we can say closest is 50%. The other 50% was a lot of consultant between master teacher in France and Cambodia, and they helped reimagine the piece, which allowed them room for creativity and allowed them room to say, wow, I can now actually reimagine things. And then we take that interpretation and retell it in the contemporary aesthetics, contemporary world that we want the younger audience to see and digest.
How many shows will you be doing here in Lowell?
2 shows. So we have Thursday night at 6 p.m. and also Friday night at 6 p.m. here at the Nancy Richard Donahue Academic Arts Center.
Part of Middlesex.
Yes, part of Middlesex in the theater.
And we're working on the next show.
The next show, the next move.
Yeah, the next move for this project.
Yeah.
It's exciting. We can't disclose. Well,
same project, but you can't disclose it. But you can give a hint.
Yes. We're looking into, is it East Coast? It's West Coast.
West Coast.
West Coast.
Well, no, we're on the East Coast, my friend.
We're already at the East Coast. We're already DC. So.
We already did DC, but we're looking to the West Coast.
Wow.
West Coast, but also we also thought about Minnesota.
Yeah.
That's really exciting, guys.
Thank you.
You're going to be reaching a lot of people, especially too with broadcasts and things like that. So,
another thing that we need to recognize too is we're in the generation where the previous generation have done so much hard work that now they have time to appreciate and love and share and celebrate the arts, and also recognize that it is time to support the younger generation, because we're in such an important time period right now, 2022. Between now and I believe moving forward to 2020, to 2030, to 2035, it is the time where Cambodian people is going to support, going to love, it's going to share, going to continue on celebrating and growing. And so we want to jump on that timeline. It is the time where we're reclaiming, but also recognizing that let's all come together and create the future we want to live in. And also, create a space for our parents as well.
Yeah. It's really exciting. I don't know if you guys can tell. I can't hide a lot on my face. Yeah. I'm just ready for Thursday.
That's exciting.
How can the audience learn more about you both and about the show?
You can check us out on social media at Underexplore Lab.
Yep, the Office of Unexplored 52.
And also my social media at Peter Veth.
You guys couldn't find anything shorter? The Office of 52?
So, yes, the Office of 52, Unexplored 52 was actually just an office opened by me personally to explore creative, imaginative projects like these. And one of the projects that we took in was Reamker.
But you can also look up Reclaiming Reamker on Google and a lot of things, which I'm really kind of shocked that a bunch of things will just pop up that relates to us. So that was really cool. So we kind of like popped up because apparently a lot of different news platform and blogs and stuff, they kind of just been promoting our work because I guess it's their way. Like, oh my gosh, it's a new thing happening in the US. Let's promote their work too. Without our permission. But it's great. It's pushing us up. It's pushing us up in the algorithm, which is amazing.
Anything else you would like to add before we say our goodbyes?
I think that's all.
I think that's it. I hope everyone has the opportunity to come out and watch this, because I think this will open up your eyes into keeping your tradition alive while thinking of moving forward.
I am like proud Mama Bear. You know how much I adore you. I'm so happy that you guys are out here doing that, because my generation, we were stuck trying to work and get everything. Yeah, I'm a lot older than these two. Trying to work and get stuff together, and then to see you guys glow and blossom and just get out there and do your thing. I'm just so so proud, and
Thank you.
we'll be happy to support you in any way that
And
we
we
can.
need that effort. We need that effort. And we need to recognize that that effort is there. That support is out there.
It's out there.
And we just need to connect and have a conversation. This is the beginning of the conversation. And it's not going to end, because there are many more of creative like us, younger generation out there that require the support of the Cambodian American generation above us.
Well,
And-
let's find them and support them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our little talk, and hopefully we'll see you Thursday or Friday. Friday is almost sold out, so if you want to come to the show, come hang out with me on Thursday. We'll be asking your questions, asking your thoughts about how the performance went. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.